Welcome to the Cincy Postcast presented by LASIK.com, where better vision equals better calls. I'm Kevin Wallace, and before we get started with today's episode, I get to tell you about our friends over at Streetside Brewery, where I am happy to announce that on Saturday, May 17th, starting at around 5:30 p.m., the Postcast is hosting another live show. That's right. We are going to be doing a live show from Streetside in the build-up to Hell is Real Away. Come check it out. We will be doing giveaways. We will be doing games. We will be talking about the game, I'm sure, at some point in there. Ask us questions. We will have a great time over at Streetside. We've done this a couple of times in the past. People have really, really enjoyed it. I will say, if you went to the first live show, fair, and thank you. The audio wasn't amazing, but guess what? We have fixed it. The audio sounds great these days. So come on out, check it out. It's a great time. You'll have some good beers. You'll be hanging out with a ton of really fun FC Cincinnati fans as we watch the Orange and Blue take on Columbus. That game is in Columbus. So if you're not traveling, come check it out with us. We'll get you all taken care of before the game, and then we'll all watch the game together and enjoy the highs and lows of fandom with FC Cincinnati. So a huge thank you to Streetside for sponsoring this episode, and thank you for coming out to the live show. And on today's episode, well, you know what's going to be on today's episode. There's a rough loss for the Orange and Blue, okay? Not the prettiest soccer we've ever seen from this team, but I think we have a solution. Grayson, Chief, and I, we find a solution to all of our problems in this one. So you have to listen to find out. In part 2, we are answering Patreon questions. Now, I know a lot of times the Patreon questions go off the rails, but I am telling you, we actually have a really long conversation about media rights and the fabled idea of what if one company just had all of the soccer rights so we only had one app? The more we talked about it, the more we sort of came to the conclusion that it was not a great idea. Interesting. Put that all together, you got yourselves a therapeutic postcast. Joining me to talk about all of that and more, I am joined by two gentlemen who are not used to having to record immediately following a loss. Talking to the Chief, talking to Grayson. Chief, the Sunday afternoon time slot felt great right up until we lived it, huh?
Yeah. I was thinking to myself, it's a good thing this was a Sunday away game. Because I don't know that I would have been too keen to record tonight if it had been a home game.
I think if it were a home game on a Sunday night, and I have not looked at the schedule, maybe this is next week. I think we do a live Discord, audience participation thing. That'd be the only way to keep the energy up, I think. Or
it's going to have to be we get permission from someone to bring recording equipment into the stadium and record in the First Financial Club after the loss or the win or whatever it is.
Man, that would be fun. That'd be fun, right? Would people like that? I don't know if people would like that.
I don't know if the club would like that is what the problem.
No,
just would not like that at all.
Trashing the club for a loss.
It's like, here, come on and ask your question. Yeah, why can't we score?
I really like, I've only been in the First Financial Club a couple of times, especially since they've started adding music after the game. But I really love how tone deaf all of the musicians are. And I don't mean that in like a musical sense. They're all very talented musicians. I mean that in sense of like, you'll walk in after a huge win and they're doing some like soft, like nice, like background coffee shop song, or after a brutal loss, you walk back and they're doing some upbeat music and they're jamming. Like, oh man.
They should book 2 bands, and there should be a win band and a lose band.
Yes.
Like the lose band should just be, you know, some soft jams, walking out of here. You might have 1 drink, but it's not really upbeat. And then they should have another band that is just playing the greatest hits of the 80s and 90s at full volume after a win.
Yes. Now we're talking. That makes way more sense.
Yeah, you come down after a win. Like I want to be hearing butt rock. I want to be hearing, you know, Hall & Oates. I want to be hearing 90s Oasis covers. After a loss, give me all the Annie DeFranco and Matt Nathanson you can find, you know, just like keep it soft, keep it mellow.
Yeah, man. I just, the last time I did it, I don't even remember the game. I just like, oh, this guy has no idea what the score was.
Yeah, he didn't watch a minute of this game. He was plugging in the amp and he was like, wait, did we win? Did we win the match?
Ooh, but see, this would be really funny from a podcasting perspective because we would also be setting up. We'd have no idea what happened at the end of the game. So you'd have to podcast and sort of speak from some sort of authority despite having no idea what happened.
Or you just have the person playing like soft rock of all the hits you otherwise would be playing.
Ooh.
So it's like, you know, really like a 1 single guitar singer-songwriter version of Mr. Brightside instead.
Everything's in either minor key or major key, depending.
It's like coming out of my cage and I'm doing just fine. Gotta get down because I started out like a kiss. How did it end up like this? Hey, how you doing out there? Sorry about the loss.
We should do a podcast one time where none of us watch the game and we don't look up any stats until halfway through.
We had a run there for a little bit where like one of the 3 of us didn't watch the game for like a solid month. And it was just covering for whichever person only watched the 7-minute highlight package on Apple.
Hey, you know what? It's what all the national outlets do. Okay, they're not watching every minute of every game. All right, there's just too many teams in this damn league to actually be doing that.
And to hear more content of people that don't watch all the games, check out The World's Gam.
Speaking of,
wherever you get your podcast from.
I will say, if you don't listen to World's Gam, that's fine. I don't begrudge you. However, the last episode, we had a great conversation with Matt Doyle, and I think people will really like that. So even if you don't want to listen to anything else, I would go back and listen to that interview. I thought it went really well.
Yeah, he seemed to get it. Like he seemed to like get it right away.
Yes.
Like the tone, exactly what kind of nonsense he had signed up for.
Yes. We're not going to sit here and pretend to be MLS experts. But like we like the league and like American soccer, so we'll talk about it, and this is fun. So yeah, it was a good conversation.
He realized really quickly we weren't going to be discussing the merits of various formation choices that teams are making. It's like
I really appreciated somebody asked, was the first question prearranged with him? And that was the first time I thought, ooh, maybe I should have run that past him.
Yeah, because that could go horrendously wrong. It's like, my first question is, why do you suck?
He does seem like, unlike a lot of people that cover soccer in the U.S. or that are around soccer in the U.S., he does seem to have a sense of humor.
Yes.
So he's probably one of the people who that's a safer question.
Yes.
For. But there are definitely people I have in my mind who I'm pretty sure it would have gone wrong if that was your first question.
I mean, you could probably get away with asking Bogert that question too, because I feel like he kind of reads the vibe a little bit. Although when we had him on this show, I think it took him a minute or two to realize, oh, this is a profoundly unserious thing that I'm doing right now.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I think round 2 with him would be fun too. So yeah, check that out if you haven't. What else?
You might be in a better that today might be the perfect day to do that. Like you can just turn this off if you don't want to relive what happened on Sunday and just go right into that. That's evergreen content. If you've ever wondered more about like what is important when making power rankings, that probably is a better listen than listening to us try to recap this stupid game we all watched today.
Yeah, right. I'm trying really hard to not talk about the game.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about power rankings, you know, there's losses. And then there's losses. right? And today's game is a loss that makes you tumble down the power rankings.
Yeah.
In my view.
This was not a game where you were like, ooh, that looks like the number 2 team in all of MLS. This actually causes me to do some reconsidering. Except I want to say this.
Yes.
I said, and this is like the part where I pat myself on the back, hashtag CKB Chief Knows Ball. This game went exactly the way I predicted it to in our last episode. And what I said at the end of this is that, look, how this is going to end is this is going to end with us being really, really mad about how this team looked and really mad about how this team played. But at the end of the day, when you've had a moment to sort of sit and stew on it, you're going to realize that this was a completely awful situational matchup for where the FC is right now. And now, as we record this, 4 hours after the game ended, that's where I'm kind of at on this. Like, I'm not mad. I'm disappointed it didn't go better. And I'm disappointed that this team didn't surprise me with having some ideas for how to fix the problems that caused today's loss. But I'm not upset about it. This was about the most foreseeable loss, I think, that the FC has taken this year. More foreseeable than the Philly loss, I think.
Yeah, I think that I definitely picked a comfortable win for the FC.
Yes.
And I said that if it wasn't, we were going to have a bad time the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And whatever, I'm ready to declare it. We know what this team is. This team is exactly what it's been all year. They're going to need moments of brilliance. They're going to need to give up very few goals. And that's going to be the game plan, basically, the rest of the year. Teams know how to play against them. And, they're not in sync with each other. And they don't have the personnel to improve at the things that they're having a problem with at the moment. So they need the personnel they do have will need to be exceptional at the things that they do.
Yeah.
Do.
Yeah.
It's funny. I don't disagree with that. Like, top line takeaway, not mad about this result, but I am also kind of at this point over the idea that this team is going to suddenly turn into something it's not. Like, we waited all year last year for this team to when they figure it out, watch out. I think that at this point, I kind of agree with Grayson. This is what this team is. I don't think there's another gear out there. I don't think that there is for all Pat wants to keep talking about it, I don't think this team is going to get more in sync. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't know where you would get that with this personnel group. Now, if they change the personnel group, maybe something different happens. But the things this team was bad at, and the things this team has struggled with the entire year are just their bad skill sets. And I'm open to the idea that what Chris Albright has done is assemble a very talented roster of players that is all missing the connective tissue that's needed to build a team. Like, you have an entire roster of players who succeed at doing exceptional things, but then none of them can pass. And
it does seem to be a pretty vital skill that is missing.
Right. But it's one of those things you don't think about where it's like, oh, this guy's a great player. Yeah, but you forget that he probably had a really randomly average dude that got him the ball at some point. And there was some guy in the middle of whatever team Lucas Engel was on or Luke Orishano was on. There was a guy that got him the ball so that he could do some incredible thing. Same with Kevin Denke, that you watch him score all these incredible goals, and you see him do it here when he gets service in these games in MLS. He does incredible things with the ball. Like, what they forgot to get was they forgot to get the guy that gets the ball to all these people. And you can't have an entire lineup of people that all are exceptional once they get the ball, but not great at getting the ball to one another. And that's kind of, I don't see where that gets better because none of them have this skill set. Like, who's the best passer on this team?
Well, it's Pavel.
It's Pavel.
Yeah, it's Buka.
And like the drop off from him to number 2 is cavernous.
And so you look at who, if you were to construct like the best 11 on this team, right?
Yeah.
It's Yedlin, and I don't want to argue over the best 11. I'm just going to throw out a best 11.
Yeah.
And make a point. So it's like Yedlin, Miles, Miazga, Hadebe, Engel, Obina, Pavel, Luca, Evander, Denke.
Yeah.
Okay. You have, across the 5 defenders, you have TAM.
Yep.
Every spot, you have TAM. In the midfield, you have TAM. You have a TAM DM, a TAM CM. You have a DP 10. You have a TAM attacker. And you have, at the time he was signed, the most expensive player ever signed to Major League Soccer.
Yeah. For a transfer fee, to be clear, salaries have been higher for other guys.
Yeah, sure. And so, but in that, you have 5 mostly defenders, and you have Obina, who's a heavily defensive focused midfielder. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you need 6 guys that cost you 7 figures a year in MLS to defend the ball? Maybe. But then you have Orishano, Evander, and Denke. You have 2 guys who are going to do like spectacular things.
Yeah.
Right? Orishano, a high usage dribbler. Evander, based on what I've seen, luxury player.
Yeah.
And you have Denke, who, is willing to come back and defend, willing to come back and get the ball. But, if he's effective, he just needs service up in the box.
Yeah.
Right. So you have one guy who is like a build up, middle of the field, normal pass type player. And that's Buka.
Yeah.
Right. And it doesn't seem like they've built the team the right way necessarily. Like,
yeah.
Do we need 3 if we have 3 center backs who are making $1 million a year and a defensive midfielder who's making $1 million a year, how much defense do we even need from the wingbacks?
That's the whole point here. Is that like when we made this point, you made this point last week, that when this team was at its best, it was with strictly offensive minded wingbacks. And then Obi covered for them. And he covered for the fact that their primary goal was to go produce offense. Yeah. And now we don't have that. We don't have primarily offensive focused wingbacks. So now your entire back is all people, like your wingbacks, your center backs, and your defensive mid are all people that are defense first. So what is the point of Obi if everyone's going to stay back? It's exactly what you said last time around.
Like, yeah. Do you need a defensive midfielder of Obi's quality, or of Obi's defensive quality, with what you have behind him? Right. Or if you think it's really important to have a defensive midfielder of Obi's attributes, do you need 3 center backs, or do you need 2 defensive wingbacks?
Yeah, basically fullbacks out wide. Yeah.
I just don't know. And I forget, it was one of you guys talked about, how Pat Noonan is talking about the team.
Yeah.
One of the comments he made concerned me a little bit.
Oh,
poor first half. A good response in the second half, but of the night, just not enough. Okay. So he's complimentary of the second half. And then, later on he said, it should look more like the second half than the first half. First half wasn't good. Second half was. In the second half, we did have a lot more possession.
Yeah.
We were about even on expected goals, and that's with like chasing a deficit.
Right.
3 shots on target.
None of them particularly good. Like there was one where like
I think the stats show that we were better than them in the second half. And certainly the eye test said that we were better in the second half than in the first half.
Yeah.
And if we're saying at a very vague high level, the play should look more like the second half than the first half. I agree. But the play should not look like the second half.
Right.
The play needs to be better than it was in the second half of this game.
No, see, I hate that comment that he made. Like, like in the second half, we did some good things. Yeah, because you were down a goal.
Right.
Game state matters. When this game was in the balance, you looked like garbage in that first half. Any team can look threatening when the other team's protecting a lead because teams change the way they play up a goal, especially teams that are bottom table teams or mid table teams against top table teams. They get their goal and they're comfortable seeing the game out a little bit. Yeah, you should look better than the other team. You should look like you're able to move the ball more effectively in a second half of a game that the other team is leading. When you can't, that's when it's a real problem.
And Chief, by your tone, it sounded like you were disagreeing with me, but I think we were agreeing.
We were very much agreeing. Yes,
I think he had stern words for Noonan. No,
for Noonan,
it sounds like what was happening during the Stom era, obviously not nearly as bad, but I certainly remember during that time, you would kind of hope the other team would score quickly because it meant we could abandon playing defense. And at the very least, you'd watch a more entertaining product on the field.
It was more watchable.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I also think, Chief, to add on to it, obviously game state matters. The field is terrible to play on. And it was raining, and the rain picked up hard in the second half. If I'm New York, I am not, busting my balls to get a second goal. I am daring FC Cincinnati to try to break me down. And that's what happened.
Also, where the infield was on a rainy day really does matter. And so there was definitely an advantage to playing on one half versus the other when it was trying to generate offense and move and defend.
Yep.
I don't know. All right. So here's my question, like for you guys,
please.
I'm ready to see some lesser talents on the field to see if they can do the things that the team needs to serve the better players. I don't have to explain this the right way, but that what they have built, I genuinely believe they have built a team out of like all like the special Legos with none of the Legos that connect them together. And so like, yeah, it's neat, but you need some of this stuff to, that bridges the gaps. Like I am now to the point where I am more interested in seeing Dado Valenzuela on the field than Luca Orishano. Just on the idea, don't get excited, Kevin. Just on the idea that maybe Dado will make a pass and move the ball versus trying to play hero ball and constantly trying to beat people off the dribble and being dispossessed or running at defenders with the ball and being dispossessed. I'm eager to see Brad Smith instead of Lucas Engel for the same reason. Maybe he will do something different that will be more of a connective tissue piece. I'm interested in seeing, Jimenez in the midfield or Chirilla. Just what they have right now. I don't care who, but like all I know right now is that I don't think this team gets better until they find someone else besides Pavel who is willing to just be the working man in the midfield or the working man somewhere on the field that is comfortable moving the ball around, moving the ball, advancing the ball forward, and setting up other players versus trying to be the guy doing it all themselves.
Let me ask this. Isn't that person Yuya Kubo?
Maybe, but like he's not a great passer either. Like they need a passer. Like they need a passer in the worst way.
18 of 18, 100% on the day, Chief. 45 minutes.
So I don't agree with like Dotto instead of Orishano, I would like to see Orishano just start out wide.
Yes.
I don't care who it's for. And if they feel the need to move Yedlin to center back, I think that's a lot of center back money to leave on the bench. So if that's part of your plan, you know, maybe we can do something else with Teenage Davies' roster spot. I'm not saying to do that. I'm just saying like if that was because like today, right, when they made a sub, they did move Yedlin. They kept Yedlin in the game. They moved him to center back and took Haglund out.
Yeah.
But and I don't need to see. I would like to see a game with, if they're going to do this same formation, without Anunga or Obina in the starting lineup.
I'm very okay with that.
So like, this is maybe sound crazy, but like, Evander has played a lot of 8 in his career. You know, if we have trouble, like he was already coming back deep today to try to make some connection. Why not just let him, you know, play deep and facilitate, and then come up for special moments.
Yeah.
And you can have like Dotto or Kubo up
Corey
ahead,
Baird
or Corey Baird, you know? Because it seems like a bigger issue is holding the ball and playing the ball, and maybe having, you know, Evander and Pavel next to each other to act as kind of a metronome, as a hub, as a way to have multiple bodies in the middle of the field who can connect the lines.
Yeah.
You know, maybe that's a move, because Evander can take free kicks from the 8 spot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, okay, he's not going to defend a lot. I think, and let's assume he's not going to defend a lot in that position. We have Matt Miazga, Miles Robinson,
Right.
Roberto Flores, Teenage. We have guys that can step up.
Yeah.
Right. And guys who can cover them. It doesn't seem like as big of an issue. Like,
Yeah.
you know, Harris Medunjanin played a lot of midfield on some decent teams, not
Yep.
with us, but on other decent teams. And also wasn't like there's plenty of examples of effective kind of deeper midfielders who aren't defending a lot.
Yeah. And Evander was the assist king in Portland. Yeah, I don't mind like looking at like Andreas Pirlo as like a model to build Evander into a sort of quarterback of the midfield, spraying passes. I trust his ability to do that. I also think his footwork would do well in the midfield versus losing the ball up top. The one thing though is he did it again in this game. He just gets his pocket picked with his back to the defenders, and man, that is
he likes doing that.
His
signatures.
killing me.
His passing hasn't been great though. Like his passing hasn't been any better than anybody else in the field. Like it's been bad.
But if it's like up top with this disjointed attack,
Right,
and you're forcing balls in, that's a little bit different kind of passing than, you know, building up the play.
Yeah.
So your projected 11 in this case would be, you know, it would be assuming Roman in goal. Your back line is Miles, Matt in the middle, and then Yedlin on the right. And then you've got Angle on the left as one wing back, Orishano on the right as the other wing back. And then you have their midfield is then Evander playing the Obi role, Buka playing the
Buka role.
And then what, like Dotto then at that point?
Your dealer
Dotto or
Kubo, and then
Denke and Santos.
Denke and is that too many people?
No.
Okay.
Because we said Dotto or Kubo.
Right.
Yeah.
And you could have Denke and Kubo, or Denke and Santos, Denke and Baird. Like,
Yeah.
I know we haven't seen a lot of it, but I still think Corey Baird can be a guy.
Yeah.
And
he's played well this year, I think.
And, you know, I'm getting to a point where like I'm willing to be like a Nico Gioacchini revisionist. I don't know that any forward is going to be good. Is going to be good on this team. So it's hard for me to hold any forward play against them.
It is funny that
we have a guy who cost $16 million touched the ball twice in the box today.
Yeah. It's like Denke has to be so extraordinarily good to sort of break through what the formation and the style of play creates for strikers. But it's funny because Brenner and Vasquez, and to a lesser extent Bupenza, the God rest his soul, the first half of the first year he was here, had no problem generating looking good. Is that a function of Lucho?
But no, it was what we were talking about earlier. It's the wing backs.
It's the attacking wing backs.
Alvaro Barreal was so good.
Yeah.
Right. Because he didn't know how to play defense. Like he was a winger. Like this team has looked its best when the person playing out wide is a converted winger that has a passing familiarity with defense, and Obi is the person that cleans up the mess defensively as they get forward. What we have now is we have a fullback or a right back playing wing back on one side, whose best days offensive are way behind him, and we've got another guy who's more of a traditional wing back on the other side, but not really an attacking wing back, not like an attacking specialist. He's just a straight out wing back. This team has done better when it has gotten players that are aggressive and taught them to track back to play defense. And if you're not going to do that, I agree with Grayson, then having the stopper in the middle or the destroyer in the middle, it's now turned into an overload on what this team is doing in terms of balance between offensive and defense. So
also, we didn't get nearly as much from the strikers in 23 as we got in 22.
That's mostly a product of Lucho being God mode that year and doing a lot of the scoring himself.
Yeah, right. But you had Brenner and Vasquez.
You kind of had Brenner.
You kind of had Brenner.
Kind of. You had the concepts of a Brenner.
That's true. In 2023
of Brenner.
Vasquez took a step back, which we were saying at the time was, well done to Albright for getting the money that he did for selling him on afterwards. Okay. So
Brandon has done really well for himself for scoring 18, 19 goals in 2022.
Yeah. He parlayed himself well on that one.
Like he's still eating free on that.
Yeah. So did we solve it? Are we done?
No, like if his name was Brandon Vickers, he'd be having the Brian White career.
Oh, yeah.
Can we have a trust tree moment here? For a second?
Here comes the Noonan slander.
No.
Okay.
I did an AMA last night on the Bird app, on X, the everything app. It's all happening on X. And I was asked, who is your favorite FC Cincinnati player of all time, and who is your current favorite FC Cincinnati player? Ooh. And I said, I only need one name to answer both those questions. It's Matt Miazga. In a moment of trust.
Yeah.
He does not look like the same guy right now.
No, but you have to hope he gets there.
Yeah, I know you have to hope he gets there.
A lot of the team's ceiling depends on him getting there. So you have to give him a lot of space, especially in this part of the season, to get there. Like you can't.
Are we worried?
For me, I'm worried. But for me, the balance is, I would rather sacrifice putting out like today's best defense to give Matt game time and to help him build his health and fitness and get back in the rhythm.
And that does appear to be what we are doing. Chief, I will answer this by actually addressing a point you said earlier. I think this team has another gear. I think that there is a version of this team where they're fully gelled and Evander and Denke can read each other's minds, and it is a perfect symphony of goal scoring. That team also has a fully healthy, fully functional, fully operational Matt Miazga. And I don't know if it's possible to reach that world, but I know that world is possible, if that makes sense. I don't know if our clutch will let us shift into that gear, but that gear is technically on the gearbox. Like that's how I'm viewing this. So I think you have to hope that it gets there. I think you have to, as a fan of the team, be cheering for and rooting for that and view every action with rose-colored glasses. But at the moment, he is certainly not in that gear.
No. And I hope he gets there. And he deserves the runway, and the coaching staff deserves the runway to get him there, because the defense is exponentially better with him on the field in his full capacity, or even at like 95% capacity. It's still a better defense. It's just the scoreline is flattering in this game in this regard, in that the FC did not come close to scoring a goal once in this game, I don't think. And
Brian Noga.
I said it online. That's that it's not your day when your best scoring opportunity falls to the foot of Brian Anunga. It's just things have gone awry.
Or depending on how you view Evander's, whatever that was, 40-yard free kick. That was right, like weirdly close.
But this game should have ended at the very least 2-0 with the PK being missed, and that penalty was conceded because Matt Miazga of right now is not the same Matt Miazga that left the field in San Jose prior to getting injured. That Matt Miazga doesn't get beat the way this Matt Miazga does, and that Matt Miazga certainly finds a better way to defend that than extending his arm fully and allowing the flop to happen on an extended arm touch, which I would be furious about if wasn't called as a penalty for FC Cincinnati. Right. I know Grayson will argue this point that we frequently don't get that call, and it makes us mad when we don't get that call because everyone else does, and it's an incredibly easy call for the official to make.
But I feel like I'm told all the time, like, why that's not a foul.
Right.
And whatever. I don't care one way or the other, except I do think, well, one, I think it needs to be a foul or not a foul whenever it happens. And
I agree.
Matt was not called for like basically the exact same thing like 20 minutes later.
Right.
Effectively a more egregious version of that. And then later in the game, Thiago Martins reached out and grabbed, I think it was Sergio Santos, and like smacked him in the face.
Yes.
And there was no call. And I don't want to hear, if you have an explanation for like why this is a nailed on penalty and these other ones are not fouls, I need you to give me that with specific citations to the laws of the game.
Yeah.
And if you're not able to do that, I just don't want to hear it. And so like, yeah, I mean, he had contact and he gave the defender and the attacker the opportunity to draw a penalty there.
Yeah.
But like to act like, to say like, oh, they call that every time. No, they don't. And don't tell me they do. I don't want to hear it. They don't. You know they don't. You just want to sound smart in the moment.
Yeah. And it's definitely one of those where if you are cheering for the team who is attacking in that moment and your attacker goes on to miss the shot, let's say, that's when you go, oh, he really should have gone down.
We've said that on this show. We have said that on this show.
Emphasize the touch. Yes. Yeah. So it's tough. It's tough. It ends up missing. So you take that.
Yeah, ball don't lie, I guess.
Yeah, pings off the side there.
Yeah, he went to the goalkeeper's left for the first time in like however many penalties that he's taken.
Yeah. And Roman guessed correctly, okay?
No,
Let it be known. Let it be known.
Roman guessed the way he usually goes.
Yes.
Yeah, Roman went the complete wrong way. But by going that way, it forced him to go to the way that he doesn't want to go. And he outthought himself right there.
I'll take it. We should probably go back and talk about the first goal because the penalty shout does come up later in the game.
First goal.
The first goal, though, again, going back to your point, Chief, I think some blame. I mean, obviously lays at the feet of every defender who lets NYCFC just ping balls left and right all the way up and down the field. It's a cross to the top of the box that deflects off of Robinson's foot, and suddenly Hagland and Miazga are both caught in no man's land, and it's a goal. It sucks. It just barely gets under Roman. It's honestly one of the only poor moments of Roman's afternoon in New York. But it's tough, again, to see Matt and Nick sort of both assume the other one is protecting that same space there. Nobody's tracking the runner coming in. Maybe that's Angle's role there. I don't know exactly the assignments, but
it's hard to be too.
Nick
it's hard.
Dives like head first at the ball.
Yeah,
he loves that.
He's
move.
Always doing weird shit.
Yeah, it's just Nick being Nick, man. Just why do the 1-star play when you can do the 4-star play? I don't want to even be too hard on the center backs because they were put under siege all night or all afternoon by turnovers, poor passing, poor balls.
Yeah,
people getting picked because they tried to dribble through somebody's legs and that didn't work. It was like you watched and it was New York just making simple, controlled, well-weighted passes and moving the ball around the field. And FC Cincinnati, when they made good passes, they picked good lanes out. You know, they charged the power meter too hard and the ball's overhit. And then the person trying to control it, they have a heavy touch and then they're dispossessed immediately. It's not just passing is not just picking the right pass out. It's picking the right pass weight. It's leading the person to the side they're moving so that they can carry momentum forward.
Yep. And
these are all things that this team is just really, really bad at. You go back and watch this game and just count the number of times an FC Cincinnati player receives a pass that is hit too hard and then the ball checks up and they have to control it with their chest and now a defender is right on top of them, or their first touch to receive the pass bounces 2 feet, 3 feet in front of them and it allows a defender to close down and dispossess someone. You don't see that as often from teams we're playing. And this is just like basic high school level stuff of
Chief, is the transfer game ruining this team by teaching them to pass too hard?
They need to play some more 11v11. Like, the transfer game. I don't want to hear any more about gray team or green team or vibes or photos. What I want to hear more about is we had the starting 11 played the reserve 11 and they beat the ever living shit out of them. Or the starting 11 called up, Roger Bacon High School or St. X or Xavier, and they got some 11v11 and they learned about spacing and how to pass to one another on a full field or moving at game speed. Like, that's what I want to hear more about. I'm done hearing about this damn transfer game because the only thing, the problem is that whatever they're doing in that does not fucking transfer to the games they're actually playing.
That was good. I really like that.
Yeah, I mean, I could also do without seeing any more transfer game on social media, just because it's like, okay, we get it. Some of the players on the team are more worse than other players on the team. But also, like, the teams are stacked. Like, obviously the gray team is always winning. Right? Like, what are we supposed to gather from this? Someone explain to me, like, what exactly we're supposed to gather from, the team with Evander, Denke, Matt, Miles, Lucas winning every game.
Right. Maybe it's just like constantly a good reminder that they are, and then we should be terrified if they don't. That's the problem. The other comment I have for both of these moments is behind Roman's goal is an artifact of NYCFC games that I have noticed over the years now. They're 10 years old this year, maybe last year. I think they came in 2015. They have what I assume they are going to call smokestacks, but I can only see them as loose cigarettes behind the goal. That sure, the filter and the paper are inverted, but I can only see them as
Lucy's.
A small collection of cigarettes are behind the goal. Is the most unimpressive thing ever. I think they let out smoke when they score, but man, I don't know what it's supposed to be, what it is symbolizing, but it looks terrible.
It would make sense if it was in it was a Red Bulls thing, because it could be like, oh yeah, this is the industry in New Jersey.
Right.
That is all around our stadium.
Right. But NYCFC is trying to be classy. So I guess that's where the cigarettes come from. Maybe
like in New York, you can see like, no, this is the petrochemical refinery, down the block
that you can see from New Jersey or see in New Jersey.
Or in New York Red Bull.
Just weird. Just
New Jersey body storage. Don't worry. Don't test what the smoke is.
Yeah. Also,
did you ever see the Zone of Interest?
Let's take a moment here to also complain about the field and the camera angles. They're terrible. The field is terrible. Baseball fields are terrible. Chief, you put this out. I think it was you put this out on one of the social media apps. That last game on baseball field. So maybe that's a good sign.
For the
rest of the year? Yeah.
I'll take it. As long as we don't meet him in the playoffs again, I guess.
True. And we probably will, because there's too many of them.
So at least we won't have to play on this size field again, which, like I said, if your skill set is not controlled passing and you want to, rely on pressing and second balls and, bombing it down the field because you can't complete a 15-yard pass, this is not a great place for you to play soccer, where there is 15 yards less space.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing I was thinking about with this too is their stadium opens supposedly in 2027. That means we should only have one more regular season baseball game ahead of us forever? ?
And then what's interesting is that will mean that 2027, I think, will be the first season in FC Cincinnati history where they have not played a single game on a baseball field.
Wow. I guess so. TBD on if they expand to Tampa and what the Rowdies and Rays and Tropicana looks like.
I mean, people forget that Providence Park in Portland was once a baseball stadium.
True.
In terms of actual baseball specific stadiums, next year may actually be the last year because Louisville, they hadn't opened their new place yet. So every year we played Louisville was on a baseball field too.
We have never played in Louisville's new stadium, and
we never will.
I mean, at this rate, yeah, probably not. Although I guess we kind of need. So if you did want that to happen, and shame on you if you want this to happen, you need the team to not do well enough to make the Champions League so that they are then in Open Cup. And then you have to hope that they draw with Louisville and then get the away leg of that draw. So,
right. Don't it's a set of circumstances you would be a sicko to root for.
Yeah, don't root for that.
Don't be a sicko. Anything else in this match? Oh, there was one moment I wanted to talk about.
Please.
The penalty, it was what it was. I think it was, I understand the call. I don't like the call, but I get the call. Like, Matt makes it easy by extending his arms.
Yeah.
This official was someone else, though. Like, something else. Like, this was, again, it's another game where there are two officiating standards for the game. There were multiple times in this match where it was touch fouls on the FC, and then there was one moment where it was a play at the top of the 18-yard box, New York's 18-yard box, where like three players for FC Cincinnati, like Evander, Sergio Santos, and I believe Dotto, were all fouled
Yes.
As New York City dispossessed and kicked the ball downfield as FC Cincinnati was chasing a goal. But the one that I was most mad about was the egregious foul on, it was like a professional foul. It was Justin Hack, I think the defender's name was for New York City, just decleats.
Yes.
I think it was a Nunga maybe, or
I thought it was Santos.
Decleats him, and the break is still on.
Yeah.
And the official pulls a yellow card out and stops the play. The announcer for Apple TV, who was a jabroni, by the way.
It was Orishano.
It was Orishano.
Okay.
Who got decleated. Yeah.
The announcer is chastising the ref. Oh, don't stop that, because it was a clear break.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's just the kind of day it was with this guy. And I don't know this guy's name yet, but I recognize his dumb face, the official.
Drew Fisher.
Drew Fisher. Yeah. You're on notice. You just made the list. Okay. Like, now I know who you are.
What list did he make, Kevin?
The list.
He made a list of referees who can get free LASIK corrective eye surgery from LASIK.com. And you too, dear listener, can get $1,100 off your procedure if you go to LASIK.com/thepostcincy. Because LASIK knows.
Can I interrupt you for just 1 second?
Yes, you may.
Because doesn't CST have a thing now where it's $1,101 or something like that?
Yes.
If you go
and
get your corrective procedure done at LASIK, I will Venmo you $2.
Yes.
So that we can once again say that we are offering you the most of any local podcast. So it's not only $1,100 from LASIK. You get that done and you let me know and show your receipt. I will Venmo you $2 personally. So that's $1,102, Kevin.
Unless we find out it's illegal for us to pay you to get a medical procedure.
No, I'll put two little emojis, two little beers on the emoji thing. No one will ever suspect
for
anything.
Beers on Venmo.
I am not
we'll
paying
delete
you.
this episode.
All right. Time out. To be clear, for legal purposes, I am not paying you $2 to do this. I'm paying you $2 for, just being a pal and being a chum.
Yeah. There's also a way for me to refund you a Patreon month. So, you can let me know and I can get you a month free on that one. So not paying you to get a medical procedure, but certainly a perk should you consider it. That probably also counts. Just delete all of this.
We're just no one knows.
Nobody's listening to this. Certainly not anybody with a law degree. Okay, LASIK.com/thepostcincy is where you can go to do that. LASIK, great people. They've been really great to work with. They are incredibly professional. They are incredibly helpful. And Cincinnati is a bit of a hotbed when it comes to LASIK. So you are in good hands. Some very well-respected doctors in the area. The other way to get a discount on your LASIK surgery is to become a professional referee, because it is a real thing that they offer free corrective eye surgery to any and all professional referees. Maybe, just maybe, Drew Fisher could take him up on this deal.
You better if he did.
Man, that did. What really killed me was it wasn't a true attempt on the ball. It was the most cynical foul ever. And then to allow it to be successful by stopping the play is like playing into the cheater's hand of like.
And then when they complained about it, he pointed to the card.
Right.
As if that was some kind of explanation.
Right.
And it's like, man, you like it's one thing to be like, okay, well, he should have, to be like, okay, he made a mistake. Right. But then instead of doing the thing I've seen even refs do sometimes, which is be like, that's on me or whatever.
Should have gone that.
He's like, no, I'm giving him a yellow. Like as if that's some kind of explanation.
Now,
Again,
if you're
like,
giving
this
him
is
a
like a-
red, maybe there's an argument, but not a yellow.
No, because you can give a card at the, you can, let the advantage happen and then, go back and give the card for the foul. They do it all the time.
Yes, that's like why the advantage rule exists, is to prevent this exact moment from happening.
Yeah, like, to be clear, like, advantage doesn't get you out of getting a card.
Correct.
It's not one or the other.
Like, they're still calling the foul when they're calling advantage.
Yeah.
So another question about officiating. I understand why this isn't the case, but doesn't it feel like if the keeper uses his hands outside the box to stop something, that should just automatically be a PK? Like, no matter what the circumstance is. That, like,
I think it should be it should be an intentional red or intentional handball, right? Yeah.
Because
at least
you got to think about it, like when a regular player, like an outfield player, touches the ball with their hand, that's a handball.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that may have stopped something from happening, but the goalkeeper is still in net. So you're still going to have to beat the goalkeeper. If the goalkeeper is handling the ball with his hands outside of his area, he's basically preventing you from having an opportunity on an empty net, right? Like, by definition, isn't that always a denial of an obvious goal scoring opportunity? Like, just in the sheerest spirit of what that is that, yeah, he's handling the ball. There's an empty net behind him. Like, I would rather, like, have an opportunity to shoot than anything else that's happening right there.
Ooh, what if you get, like, an uncontested free kick from that spot, though?
I'm cool with that.
So it's just you and the keeper, no walls, no no player from either team.
Yeah, it's like a rugby try. It's just a kick from wherever the spot was. That bothered me a lot. I understand it's not the rule, but like when he was outside the box with the ball in his hand, I'm like, well, fuck off. Why don't keepers do this all the time? Like,
right.
Well, so it is a denial of an obvious goal scoring opportunity, right?
By the definition of those words, yes. Because
if he doesn't handle the ball, he doesn't have the ball, and there's a wide open goal.
Yeah.
That seems like an obvious goal scoring opportunity.
Now, in this situation, though, it was very funny that he just kept sliding out of the box. You could tell he did try to drop the ball.
Skill issue, okay? Like, I don't care.
Sure.
Right.
But if you commit a non-deliberate handball offense outside the penalty area, that can still be a dog so.
Yeah.
Red. And if you commit a deliberate handball offense and it's a dog so, that's also a red.
Yeah.
So whether it was deliberate or non-deliberate doesn't matter. I would argue it's deliberate because he's intentionally playing the ball with his hands.
Right. He's not accidentally doing it.
No, it's very interesting. He's deliberately playing the ball with his hands. He just doesn't intend to be in the spot he is. But
in this case, yes.
The intent is his location, not the fact that he's using his hands.
Right. But like, he clearly was not in a position where he was going to control where his body was. Right.
Right.
And he was obviously accepting that he was likely going to be outside of the penalty box and choosing nevertheless to play the ball with his hands.
Yeah.
So yeah, can we talk about what happened on the free kick?
Yeah.
Because I have a theory about it.
Ooh, please.
So it's from where it is on the box. The obvious.
Yes.
From where it is outside the box, the obvious play is Lucho taking it.
Yep.
Because it's from the right of the goal. So he hits it with his left. It curls toward the goal.
Yeah.
Versus Evander taking so Lucho could either like pass it or shoot it from there. So it seemed obvious that Lucho was going to be taking the kick. And Evander seems to just like mess with him.
Yeah.
Like he kicks he slides the ball a little too far. Like, and Lucho has to adjust his run at like the last second to get to the ball. And I don't know. I think there's a non-zero chance in my mind that Evander was just like, well, I'm not taking this. Screw it.
Yeah, they clearly, like, Luca at least seemed surprised by what happened. That, like, it was either not rehearsed or charitably, misheard the play that Evander called or something. But right. Yeah, I buy it.
Like, I'm not going to question Evander too much on anything that happens with a free kick, like as good as he's been with doing it. But I do have a question about this. Is Evander the Adam Dunn of soccer players?
Ooh.
Where he is only capable of being a weapon, like doing like the home run, like hitting the free kick, doing something spectacular. And then the rest of the time, it's just kind of like, why is this guy making 12 million? Why do we pay 12 million bucks for this guy? You have a free kick and it's like, oh, he almost scored that from 50 yards. That's incredible. Every other time it's like, so we were promised you were a Lucho replacement. When's that going to start happening?
Yeah. I don't like it, but I see it. I do think, though, that Grayson may be onto something of pulling him a little further back, give him more of the field to operate in, and intentionally put somebody ahead of him to be dedicated offense. I think you could see more,
because the set pieces are great. Like even the corner kicks,
corners are great,
are awesome. And if somebody would have educated the team on like the 8th grade defense technique of everybody takes a step forward and catches you all offside on the second ball, we might have actually scored on one of those corner kick opportunities. But like, he's great at all this sort of stuff. But like in the actual run of play, I keep waiting for him to do something like, oh, what an incredible pass through ball from Evander, or this is an incredible little unlocking move that he did. And it's just, it tends to be he runs right into somebody and loses the ball, or he gets picked from behind and loses the ball.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for it. I know, I'm told it's there, and I'm waiting to see it. And I really, really, really want to see it.
And I don't want to be too hard on Evander. I don't want to be too hard on Denke. We have a lot of expensive players who, to date, and I'm going to go back to a quote of Pat Noonan's that, again, I want to just take a little bit of an issue with. He says, this was, I think, a level below some of the other performances. We're looking for consistency and reaching a higher bar than we have, so we continue to search for that. I don't know that this was a level below the other performances. We just didn't hit a crazy free kick.
Right.
Right.
Or get the lucky goal. Yeah.
I think they have consistency. Like
oh no.
They just Kevin Denke is getting a couple of touches in the box a game, right? We have Evander free kicks from up to 40 yards being the most dangerous play that the team consistently makes. And so, like, I'm not going to pretend to have like the solution to how you can get better performances than they've had. And I know people are going to say, well, they won 5 games in a row. Okay, fine.
Right.
But, look at those games. Like, there's context to all of this,
Yeah.
And some like, and you hear from the coach, stuff that's just, it should look more like the second half than the first half. We've had plenty of good moments, some moments not as good. We just didn't have the level of composure necessary. I assume that he has better solutions or better, more specific ideas for how to get, for like why their performances haven't been consistently meeting the level of talent on the team.
Right.
And, maybe we're just wrong on the talent on the team, right? Like, something isn't going right. Somebody is not, either has not or is not doing their job as well as they should.
Yeah.
And I'm hopeful that will either see that improve or will have somebody kind of provide a better answer for what that is and why it's not improving as things go. Because at least if you show that you're recognizing a problem, right, there's the possibility it'll be solved. But if you're not recognizing a problem, it's never going to be solved.
It's never. Yeah, right. At the same time, for whatever tiny little bit it is worth, I think if this is the team that they are just going to be incredibly stout on defense and look for moments of magic on offense, we discussed this last week, it is viable. It's just not going to be pretty.
If that's what this is, then I think that if this is what this team is, then I think it makes it more imperative that ahead of the summer window, they need to buy a contract out and acquire someone in the midfield, or they need to bring in somebody in a U22 capacity in the midfield that can offer them another person with Pavel Buka's skill set.
Yeah.
So that you're not in a position like you are today where your team is just listless without that progressive passer in the midfield.
So
to me, the obvious candidate, to me, I just finished. To me, the obvious candidate, the obvious candidate remains Sergio Santos. And this was another match where I thought he looked lively, but on the same thread, he had an opportunity to use his speed and get over the top of the defense, and he was run down from behind by another player. And if Sergio Santos isn't the guy that burns people with speed, I don't know what the point of Sergio Santos is other than being a vibes guy. I'm happy he's a vibes guy, but for $1 million, this team needs another midfielder. They don't need a guy who's a striker. They have strikers on the roster who will get run down from behind. They don't need another one on a TAM deal.
In Santos's defense,
and
this is going to be a soft defense. He played half the game. He got twice as many touches in the opposition box as Kevin Denke. He's doing something.
No, he's hustling his ass off
to get his foot on the ball. But yeah, it's not enough for what the team needs, especially on his contract. Kevin, you said something about an incredibly stout defense.
I did.
The team is on XG. The team is slightly better than Inter Miami.
Who is renowned for their defensive prowess, right, Grayson?
Right.
Oh no.
So, and they're a bit better when it comes to like actual goals given up. But that discrepancy indicates a little bit of luck. Like, for example, a guy hits the post on a penalty.
Yeah.
Or has a wide open header a foot in front of goal and puts it over the bar.
Yeah, that's true. I do wonder, and it happened, so of course you can't just wave it away, but how much of this is the Philly game is still weighing down out of 11 results, the one where we gave up 4 or whatever, 5, that's gonna hurt you quite a bit. But at the same time, like this team is not like, is not destroying teams defensively where they're not even getting opportunities. They're getting opportunities. So it's a little dicey out there right now. And basically we've seen this team not pass the eye test in wins. Noonan would be the first one to tell you that, but when you see it with a loss, you could forgive quite a bit when the results were following. If results are not following, you start to ask tougher questions.
Here's sort of a cap on it,
please,
for where we are right now. And this is, this is something to think about, I think, for everyone involved. And I don't know how else to put this, but let's look back. I want to take you back to the year 2023. You guys remember 2023?
I seem to remember liking that year. Yeah.
Grayson, you enjoy 2023?
Yeah.
Yeah. 2023, FC Cincinnati wins the Supporters Shield. Fun season for everyone. How many losses did that team have, Kevin?
2.
Grayson?
That's what it feels like.
4?
They had 5 losses that year.
Okay.
2024. We didn't have as good of a time in 2024. Inter Miami wins Supporters Shield. How many losses did Inter Miami have, Kevin?
I'll go with 5.
Grayson?
Yeah, 5.
4. So in 2023, we win Shield with 5 losses. Last year, 4 losses, Supporters Shield. We're already up to 3 losses on the season this year. Like, if this team has big trophy ambitions, the margin for error is getting very, very short based on recent history in the league.
I'm just glad that you're considering the Shield a big trophy.
Always have, always will. I've been a Shield truther.
I think if you are holding out hope for an MLS Cup and to a lesser extent a Leagues Cup, I think you are not panicked at all.
In 2022, LAFC won the Shield.
9 losses.
9 losses.
Okay.
But Philly should have won that year. Philly was my true Supporters Shield winner. 5 losses.
Okay.
And they tied LAFC on points. They would have won Shield, I believe, if it weren't for the really stupid MLS wins being the first tiebreaker. Because the goal differential that year, LAFC plus 28, Philly plus 46.
Yeah, that was the year Philly was beating teams 6-1 regularly.
Right. In any other league on the planet, Philly is the league champion based on that. And then you go back to 2021, once again, 5 losses. So really and truly, absent like a really, really fluky thing that LAFC was able to clip them based on the wins tiebreaker, the Supporters Shield winner in MLS in going back to 2021, it's been 5 losses has been basically the benchmark there.
Yeah. 2022, though, LAFC beats Philadelphia in MLS Cup final, though. So if you truly wanted a one-off tiebreaker game, they got that and Philly lost it. All right. Well, that's enough about this game. Let's head on over to part 2. Let's answer a couple of Patreon questions and let's get out of here. All right, we are back, part 2, where we are answering your Patreon questions. This is where you can pay us $2 a month to keep the show afloat financially, spiritually, and thematically. I needed something else to throw in there. You give us $2, you get your name in highlighter pink on the Discord. You get the satisfaction of knowing you're keeping independent whatever this is alive, and you get to ask questions. You get to ask 1 question a month. In doing that, we answer it on the broadcast, on the show, on the podcast. I was asked the other day, do we ever skip any questions? Do we ever just like not answer questions that are like bad questions? The answer is no. Unfortunately, I have no editorial control over your questions. You ask them, we answer them. Now, this is where I do have to eat a little bit of crow. I said we don't skip questions, except I accidentally missed a question. Chief, you threw out the challenge out there that if people were to leave a 5-star review of the World's GAM podcast, that's the MLS podcast we do, where you could ask an additional question. Somebody did that, and I totally missed it. So let's answer that question first. This comes from Redbeard, a regular contributor to the website, by the way. Redbeard asks, based on how San Diego has started, which of these is more likely? fire the coach by the midpoint of season 2, or win a trophy by the end of season 3?
Fire the coach by the end of season 2?
That's
it's
yeah.
That seems to be the timeline that like most of the expansion teams are on. Like, how long did Bradley Carnell last in St. Louis? 3 years? 2 years?
I think
2 years.
Into his second year.
Yeah.
Into his second year. Famously, Alan Koch lasted like 2 months.
Yeah.
So we were on manager 2 by year 2.
Josh Wolf managed to get to year 3 for what that was worth.
But the track record of managers for MLS expansion teams, it tends to be shorter rather than longer.
Yes.
And of the teams, LAFC won a trophy. We've won a trophy, but Nashville hasn't won a trophy. St. Louis hasn't won a trophy.
Miami won a trophy.
So it takes a minute, though.
Yeah.
Miami won 2 trophies.
Oh, we are a Leagues Cup podcast, so yes.
That's right. Damn it. I had to think about that.
We are a pro Leagues Cup podcast. We're always saying this. Yeah, I don't see San Diego as a trophy winning team.
However, not to turn this into an episode of the World Scam, but San Diego did beat Dallas 5-0 yesterday. And a quick perusal through the FC Dallas subreddit, and you've already got people questioning the Lucho Acosta acquisition. So not going great.
Do we get to On the World's Gam this week? Like take a 10,000 feet or a 30,000 feet view of the Lucho Acosta deal and talk in a punditry form about Lucho's performance thus far?
I think we have to. It would be journalistic malpractice not to.
We need to get like if they continue to suck, we need to get like an FC Dallas beat writer or someone on.
Yes.
And like what did you have any idea this was going to happen with Lucho? I mean, all the signs were there that he's been an incredibly productive player in this league. Were there any red flags at all?
Actually, this leads perfectly to our first question here from Andrew Prentovic, who asks, who or how would be the best way to troll Lucho during the sword pull before the Dallas game? This is good. Is there a person that we could have pull the sword that would be a funny dig at Lucho in some way, or some sort of troll maneuver?
So I have 2 potential thoughts that are kind of similar.
Okay.
But I also don't think that there's any troll move that is all that good.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you could do like have a sword pull that is like quote unquote like our MVPs, and you get a Coley and Ledesma to come.
It is 10-year anniversary, so you could tie it in.
The other is you bring, just a Coley, but you introduce him as like, because he won MVP, right?
He won MVP and Golden Boot.
Yeah. So you introduce him as like our first MVP, the only player in FC Cincinnati history to win MVP and Golden Boot in the same season.
Yes.
The most decorated player in FC Cincinnati history.
Scored the most iconic goal in FC Cincinnati history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Captain forever.
Yeah.
I like that. Chief.
What if you made this sword like really, instead of like the regular size sword, it was a big sword, and whoever got it had to take a step ladder up to get it?
I like that. Or even a miniature sword could be funny. I was thinking it would be a funny troll move, but nobody would know that this happened, but to have the team invite Lucho to do it. He would have to say no, but I think it would fuck him up that we asked him to do it.
What if you said it was Lucho and it was just a kid in a number 10 jersey that did it? Like old pro wrestling style where you got like...
Now the problem is like the crowd would boo this kid. You'd have to prep the kid.
Get Yamil Assad to do it.
The other option I was going to say is Chris Albright. Just have Chris Albright do it.
It's like we texted someone and he immediately responded back.
So there you go, Andrew. Those are a couple of moments there. Let's see. Oh, perfect. Porter Henson asks, in honor of May the 4th, what Star Wars related nicknames do you have for players of the FC? For instance, Obi, Juan Canodo. Wow, that was hard to read. Chewbacca, R2 Dado, Cassian Evandor. Okay, so you're going there. I like that one.
That's really bad.
Parsecs Robinson. Okay. Apologies for my middling dad humor. No way, Porter. Those were all great.
I can't even top any of those.
Yeah, I was like, Porter, you did our work for us.
The player who I would love to sign, in part for Star Wars reasons, is Ndidi.
Oh, yeah.
Because his name sounds like the sound that the Jawas make. Ndidi.
Yes. Is this where we could take an opportunity to say that Andor Season 2 is really good? Like, really good? It's living up to the hype.
The entire show is phenomenal. Like, really, really good. No, I'm stuck thinking of other players you could force into this. I was like Santos Calrissian. Santo.
Okay, I see it.
No. Dado Calrissian.
Yeah,
that works better.
Yeah, that works better. Got the O sound at the end of it.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Damn it. I bet if I thought about it, like, as long as we're allowed to use expanded universe, I'll bet we could come up with some good stuff here.
Yeah. Cuccio asks, would you like to ask me a question? Question mark. No. And the answer is yes. Cuccio, I would like to ask you a question.
Miazga the Hutt.
I feel like Miazga is such a name that, like, there's got to be a better connection somewhere.
I'm sure there is, but now that's stuck in my brain.
Santos. This is Ahsoka.
Kubulba.
Ooh.
Kuboba Fett.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm good with this.
Yeah.
No, so I'm going to be doing for the rest of these questions. Don't worry about it. Just keep going. I'll get back to you as I think of anything.
Kyle Luco.
Ahsoka Shano.
Oh, I like that.
Ahsoka Shana.
Ahsoka Shano.
It's kind of their celebrity couple name.
Right. What can I say? The man digs head tails.
Kyle Luco asks, what are your favorite national parks? Looking at you, Grayson, first.
Zion, probably. I don't know. I mean, frankly, they're all good, even the bad ones. Except maybe even like Cuyahoga Valley and Indiana Dunes are nice places to go. People will tell you that there's better dunes in Michigan that aren't a national park, and so.
Which is the one where, like,
these are still good.
Which is the one where they charge you $500 if you can't get back up the dune?
I don't know.
There's like some park that's like, it's in Michigan or Indiana or something like that, where it's easy to run down the dune and get to the water, but like people keep getting trapped because they can't get back up the dune. And so there's like
it's probably not Indiana because they're not that big.
You're not running down much.
This is a place that's a national park because Mike Pence agreed to be vice president before they tried to kill him. And so they're not that big. But I like, I for me, Zion is number one, although it's like I've not been to all of them. Right? There's like 50 in Alaska you have to take biplanes to.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a whole bunch of like in like northern Alaska that get like 2,000 visitors a year.
Right. It's like you have to like do like a 2-week trip just to get to one of them.
Right.
And I assume that like they have flies that are biting the size of Buicks in parks like that.
Right. I haven't been to Glacier. Rainier is tight. I mean, I like them, but I'll go with Zion.
The ones I've been to, Arches probably is my favorite. It is shockingly beautiful just because it looks like nothing that you see anywhere close to. Love that. Grayson actually has the merch that he's holding up, but Arches is unbelievable. Even the drive out there from Salt Lake is otherworldly. And, Moab has one of the worst breweries I've ever been to in my life too. So there's always that.
You gotta like that. Smokies are always nice.
Also great is Volcano in Hawaii is awesome. Is definitely another one of those places where it's like awe-inspiring to go to.
Yeah, especially if you can like see a flow.
Yeah.
Yeah. One that not a lot of people are going to go out of their way to go see, but I have been to because I was in the area. Congaree National Park in South Carolina was nice.
Is that one just like a boardwalk in a swamp?
Yep, but it was nice.
I want to go. I want to go there because it's like not like crazy far from Charleston, right?
No. And that's what we were doing. We were visiting a couple of friends in South Carolina. It was a good time.
I believe Smoky Mountain National Park is the most visited national park in the entire system.
Yes. It helps that it is located close enough to like most of the population of the U.S. and then also Gatlinburg. And Pigeon Forge are right there.
Yep. People love going to Gatlinburg.
Yeah. If you made like some little lake near Disney World a national park, that would become the most visited national park.
People love their little super spreader events. Yeah. Have you ever walked around Gatlinburg at night?
I went to Gatlinburg a few years ago, and I'll just say it's not for me.
The city of Gatlinburg is rough. Now, if you rent a fancy cabin, quote unquote cabin out in the woods, it's nice. It's like beautiful country.
Sure.
It's lovely.
I don't doubt that. I'm just saying that my Gatlinburg experience led me to conclude that it is not for me.
Yeah, I agree, but I think it's important to go to Gatlinburg sometimes because it's like it's about as good a representation of the country we live in as anywhere you're going to go.
Right, like they should do
like
a fair.
This is America.
This is
like,
America.
This is what John Mellencamp should have been writing about.
No, there should be a bureau office of the New York Times there just to do I sat down for pancakes in Gatlinburg, and this was the topic of conversation from everyone as they ordered a tall stack.
Well, so I was in Gatlinburg the week before the 2020 election, I think.
Oh, wow.
And there was like a Trump caravan.
Yeah.
Like driving in the streets. And I'm like, this is the most unnecessary thing anybody's ever done.
Who are you stuck on the side?
We're all in a big Trump caravan right now.
Right.
Like these massive people on the sidewalk. Look at the t-shirts that are in the front of these stores. Whole town. We built the whole town out of the caravan. You don't need to also stop up traffic more than it's already stocked up.
Traffic does not move in Gatlinburg. I'm impressed that people can actually get from one end of the city to the other in a car. I also do believe there are at least 2 MAGA/Trump dedicated stores, let alone the stores that sell everything.
I say this with love in my heart.
Yes. Oh, final question here from Adam Clay Reeves, who asks, I think this is a good one. How much would a media company have to pay to acquire the U.S. broadcasting rights for every televised soccer match, including both club and international matches? My dream is that one day I can use one app or service to watch any match in any league, a one-stop shop for all televised soccer. So internationally, you cannot get this. A lot of leagues and national teams have like national laws written that they have to make their games available for free. In England, it's actually very difficult to watch a lot of games because they are terrified still that the televised product will steal from the game day revenue. And so you still get games on tape delay, or you will get games that are just absolutely blacked out across the country. Impossible. Now, you did say US. So any soccer match that is being played anywhere in the world to watch in the United States, I actually think it's achievable. It's expensive, but it's achievable.
I don't know about that. It's going to be expensive. The problem that you're going to have with doing this from a business sense is that you will never, there is not enough commercial inventory in a soccer match to ever meaningfully make up any revenue and make any money back selling commercials. That's the conundrum of live soccer anywhere, is that, you know, you're not going to blow out primetime broadcasting on major cable networks in order to show soccer because you can't show commercials. You can stuff way more commercials in an NBA or an NHL game.
Even if it got as many viewers as the NBA final, let's say, yeah, you're not making as much money on that broadcast.
Right. So you're going to need to do something that is revenue neutral by subscriber fees. The problem with that is that, so you say you want to have every televised soccer match in the world.
Yes.
So let's start with the biggest soccer league in the world, the English Premier League. NBC is paying something like $500 million per year, in order to broadcast the Premier League. So just starting off with that one league alone, you are already $500 million per season to get the rights to that. The Apple TV MLS deal. So you want that? That's like something, right? $250 million a year.
Yeah.
So on top of that, you're going to be paying another $250 million a year.
La Liga's worth about 50 and change, like 52 and change million a year.
All right, so now you're approaching $800 million a year in rights fees.
I don't see the Bundesliga rights value, but you know, I don't know. All these are going to be smaller than the Premier League and probably smaller than MLS.
Right. Liga MX is going to cost you money. It's going to keep going down.
Liga MX, but nobody's been paying for that. So
right. But so the idea is this then, that if you think that the way this works is that Apple TV had to charge people basically give or take $100 a year to access this streaming service. Now, and then you're probably quadrupling conservatively the amount of rights fees it's taking to host that. Economies of scale work a little bit, that you're attracting more customers, yada, yada, yada. You're still talking about something where this streaming service, in order to break even, is going to be a $300 to $400 a month add-on just for this.
A month or a year?
A year, sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
I also don't think the leagues would go for this.
No, because it would overlap too much. There'd be too many games on at the same time. I think the leagues
want to be on different channels because they don't want, like, if everybody goes to Peacock. Right. Peacock is going to promote the Premier League more than anybody.
Right.
So you're not going to get as much promotion if you're Serie A. As the big ticket item that is going to attract the most viewers, And so you don't want to be on the same service as the Premier League if you're the Bundesliga, because you want that service that you're on to prioritize you.
Now, I think that that's true for the Euro leagues. So if I'm the Bundesliga, I don't want to be on the same platform as the Premier League. I don't want to be on the same platform as Serie A. I want my own platform because all those games are in basically the same time window, with Europe being, 6 hours, 5 hours, give or take.
I think mainly you just don't want to be on the same platform as Premier League.
Oh, if I was MLS, I would be ecstatic.
Yeah.
If that's where I was going with this, is if I was MLS, I would be ecstatic if I was on the same streaming platform as the Premier League. If we woke up tomorrow and Apple had bid and successfully won the rights to the Premier League, that would be a dream scenario for MLS, because number one, suddenly Apple's going to have to step up their Halo coverage of soccer.
Yeah.
The app all of a sudden becomes a must own for everyone that is a soccer fan in this country, and you're going to benefit by being on the same platform as that. So I think that
MLS would benefit from being on the same platform specifically as the Premier League.
Yes,
because you're going to have a lot of people signing up for the Premier League, and those games are not going to overlap with yours.
Yeah,
except for a fairly negligible amount where if there's a late
occasionally
game,
that 3 o'clock
you've got a
window.
2 o'clock game.
Yeah. And they just stop scheduling in the same window. They would just stay away from of course. They just stay away from the Premier League. That would be a scenario where if I'm MLS, I'm willing to take less money to make sure that I'm on the same network as the Premier League with Apple.
And word on the street was NBC wasn't remotely interested in MLS this go around. The only other one, because I agree with you, Chief, the only other one that I think, and definitely not to the degree of the Premier League, but the only other one that could move the needle for MLS positively would be getting the CBS Champions League rights on Apple. I think you'd have a similar-ish effect, not nearly as much, but you'd have something in that ballpark.
You would get people who don't watch MLS subscribing for Champions League, and then maybe you get some of those people to watch MLS.
Yeah.
Because it's on the service they already have.
You just cross promote like heck. You'd say, hey, you're watching Champions League? Well, Messi and Giroud and Suarez, these guys are playing in this league and they're playing in this game tonight. Tune in. Yeah.
I do think that for this deal with Apple TV to work, they need Apple to acquire 1 or 2 more decent soccer rights.
Yes.
To me, they need to get Liga MX TV rights on the Apple platform. They need to get CONCACAF Champions Cup rights on the Apple platform. And they probably need 1 major Euro league on the Apple platform. I would go for 1 Euro league, and I'd go for J League, or I'd go for A League. And I would at least, what you need to start doing with the Apple thing is you need to start building out a little bit more of that. There's always a game on.
Yeah.
And just give, even if you're paying not a ton of money for some of these rights and you're just tapping into whatever their English language feed is for their matches, you just need a reason for people to say, well, I'm not just getting MLS, I'm getting this, and this, because that's the soccer hardo clapback on all this, is that with ESPN Plus, I get 4 or 5 leagues. I can watch Wrexham again, and I can, do this, or with CBS, I can watch Serie A and Champions League. You need something else on the Apple platform, I think.
Yeah. And what hurts is we know they tried. So Apple tried to bid for the Premier League rights. Apparently, they were close, except for they were asking for the global rights. And Premier League wanted to sell international and domestic separately.
I don't think they can sell.
I don't know
with
either.
International. I don't know if they can.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that Apple wanted Apple didn't. I don't think Apple wanted the domestic rights. They just wanted all of the international
global
rights.
Okay. Everything outside of UK.
Okay.
Everything outside of the UK. And the Premier League, they make too much money and they have too much influence with these other little deals that they do that they don't want to give that up.
They were also allegedly close with getting Big Ten football contract and was part of the reason why the Big Ten even expanded to California in the first place. They were also in for the Sunday Ticket, which is where I wanted to go with you, Chief. Sunday Ticket is $479 a season. I actually think that's a price point where you might be able to say, hey, you can get all of soccer for a year.
No, it isn't.
Oh, I don't know. But
I don't think so. I don't think so.
It would be funny to see what would happen because you would certainly have fans of like, I just watch MLS or I just watch Premier League. Are they going to spend that much money for just the one league option? Probably not. But will they give up their fandom? I don't know what happens then.
I think the problem is that what you're doing is you're creating something that serves no master. And that's like, your average casual MLS fan is not going to pay. I mean, they're barely playing now. Right. You're not going to pay $500 to watch MLS. And so this package is only worth it to you if you intend to consume everything on the product.
Right.
If you're only interested in one part of this, maybe you can spring that. But like you're asking the guy who's got season ticket or like he goes to 3 games a year. Maybe now you can convince him to do at the MLS package at, $100 a year, but saying that's going up to $500 and you get to watch, Tottenham, Chelsea and Man City. He's like, I don't do that.
Yeah, right. You'd have to do $500 for everything and then $50 a year for the one team and then $100 for the one league option, something like that.
Have to be like some sort of a pricing schedule for it.
Also, don't you end up with like an antitrust problem?
No,
I don't know.
Because you have a monopoly on,
but it would only be soccer and not
television
rights.
Right. The question is, what's the market?
Right.
Is the market soccer or is it sport? Is it televised sport?
Or is it entertainment in general? Like things that I am entertained by on this digital media platform?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because they sued. They
sued the courts to figure it out, right?
Well, didn't the NFL get sued? I thought for DirecTV. And I forget if they lost that or not.
They did, and you were entitled to like $30 of compensation if you were.
Yeah, I think they had to settle it out.
Yeah,
right.
Because I think the issue is with the NFL is, everybody's worried about like taking like one of those antitrust cases like to trial
all the way.
So like you see how far it goes, and then you try to just settle it out because you don't want to. You don't want to deal with like ramifications.
Yeah. I will say though, this question does allow me to again say that I don't know exactly how or why, but national team games should be free. And we should be putting men's and women's national team games on PBS. I don't know exactly why, but that feels right. Like you should never have to pay to watch your country.
Well, don't you want to put them on like a public platform like Rumble?
now streaming exclusively.
No censorship of any of this match.
like something that's like at least like run by the U.S. government, like Newsmax or Fox and Friends.
Well, they shut down 4chan, so we can't have that.
Damn, we could just have it on X. MLS back in the day.
Everything app. Everything includes sports streaming.
Yeah.
MLS used to do a Twitter exclusive game. I do not know if people remember this.
I remember it.
There was one game a week that was exclusively streamed on Twitter. Damn.
I'm sure they're trying to figure out a way to stream exclusively on TikTok where the matches are just shown 1 minute at a time. You just scroll to whatever minute you want to watch.
If they're looking for somebody who's experienced in offering content online in quick bites,
give Meg Whitman a call.
Give Meg Whitman a call.
Quibi was actually the answer to all of this, and we didn't respect it. Damn.
Being early is the same as being wrong.
That's true. Well,
also being wrong is the same as being wrong.
I think that's gonna do it for us for this episode. Thank you for hanging with us. And yeah.
Better luck next week. Go fuck yourself, Columbus.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Cincy Postcast. It is a production of The Post Cincy. You can check us out at thepostcincy.com or just click a link in the description to check out some of our written work. It also has links to our social media accounts across all sorts of different platforms, including YouTube, where we are trying to do more and more video content. Please, dare I say it, like and subscribe and leave a comment. But no, that would be really, really helpful. I also want to give a thank you to Jim Trace and the Makers. They're a local Cincinnati band who provided all of the music for this episode. We love having them on board. You can check them out. Again, link in the description of this episode to find out where they might be playing shows next or where you can listen to more of their music. Also want to give a massive, massive thank you to the awesome and very attractive patrons over on Patreon. It is a voluntary subscription that people take out with no real promise of anything extra that keep this show afloat. And we are so, so thankful to those of you that have decided to take that commitment. If you do like the show, or at least just want to engage with other people who have listened to the show and want to talk about FC Cincinnati, MLS, soccer, or really anything else, you can go on over to Discord. Again, link in the description. Lots of links in the description where you can find a link to the Discord. That's where we are keeping the conversation going 24/7. It feels like it's a really fun group of people in there just talking about FC Cincinnati. And like I said, just about everything else. And finally, I'll say it. If you liked this episode, and given the fact that you've made it all the way to the end, I have to assume you either like it or for some reason cannot reach the stop button. Please share this episode with a friend or family member or someone who likes FC Cincinnati. The best way for us to grow is from a personal recommendation from somebody who likes it. And if that's you, please tell other people. And if you don't have any friends, feel free to give us a review on whatever your podcast platform of choice is. We'll take anything we can get. But again, a huge, huge thank you to everybody for listening to this show. I am blown away that anybody listens to this. So again, I well and truly mean this. Thank you so much for listening.